What if I told you that the secret behind our intelligence didn't start in the mind, but in the stomach? Strange, almost controversial, right? Yet the truth is that meat changed everything. It fueled the brain to grow, reshaped heavy bodies into agile forms, and paved the way for the boldness that led to the rise of Homo erectus. Humanity's story didn't begin only with fire or stone, but with an unlikely choice in the face of scarcity, to use what others ignored. At a time when hunger was a constant companion and every piece of food could decide between life or death, Australopithecus sediba began to reveal something beyond physical strength, the ability to care. The elders, even without hunting or carrying heavy loads, were preserved and respected because they held the group's memory and experience. They were like silent counselors, showing that community life was not sustained only by muscles, but also by wisdom. Empathy, at that point, became a tool as essential as their own hands. It was in this scenario of need that the meat revolution came into play. The Sediba learned to take advantage of carcasses left behind by large predators, turning leftovers into a source of survival. What seemed like scraps became wealth. Meat brought proteins and fats capable of fueling the body and opening space for something greater, the energy of the mind. It's like when someone today finds value in something others discard, from an old piece of furniture turned into a centerpiece at home, to an idea that once seemed worthless but ends up changing a person's life. This habit of seeing opportunity in the unlikely was a turning point in human evolution. With more energy available, the group began to expand not only physically, but also mentally. It was the beginning of a new way of existing, more strategic and less limited by scarcity. Meat was not just food, it was fuel to transform destiny. And that transformation, quiet at first, would pave the way for even more surprising changes that were about to unfold. The introduction of meat into the diet completely changed the course of human evolution. Before, our ancestors spent hours chewing tough roots and fibrous leaves, burning energy just to extract nutrients. With meat, the body began to work more efficiently, less digestive effort, more energy available. That extra reserve started being redirected where it mattered most, the brain. It was like upgrading from an old, wasteful engine to a modern one, able to run longer and perform better. Gradually, these changes began to shape the body as well. Slimmer physiques emerged, adapted to cover long distances without quickly running out of strength. The meat revolution molded endurance and agility, turning humans into natural long-distance runners. Someone running a half marathon today, or tackling a long hiking trail without giving up, is tapping into this same inheritance from those early savanna endurance hunters. Meat, therefore, wasn't just food, it was a silent partner in preparing for the future. This boost of brain energy also unlocked something extraordinary: creativity. With more free time, no longer having to spend hours chewing, groups started to strategize, plan hunts, and even picture new ways to survive. It was here that the human mind truly began to leap forward, paving the road for stone tools and more sophisticated communication that were just around the corner. The extra brainpower gave our ancestors the spark they needed to turn nature into an extension of their own bodies. That's when the first stone tools appeared, carefully knapped to cut, scrape, and carry meat. These tools weren't just practical, they symbolized a new stage where humans weren't only adapting to the world, they were shaping it. Think of someone today who takes a plain piece of metal and forges it into something useful. Back then, this wasn't a hobby, it was survival. But having tools wasn't enough. They had to be used in harmony, which meant organizing who cut, who carried, who stood guard against predators. That's when language started to blossom. Not quite speech as we know it, but gestures, sounds, and maybe short patterns of vocal signals that carried meaning. Through this teamwork, imagination took root. Humans were no longer bound only to the present, they began to plan for the future, tomorrow's hunt, where to hide the meat, which route would keep them safe. Looking back, it may seem like a small step, but it was a gateway to everything that followed. The meat revolution had already fed the brain, but now stone tools gave physical form to the ideas it produced. The combination was explosive: more energy, more creativity, more cooperation. And soon, this momentum would spark a deeper divide, because not everyone was ready to take the same risks in the face of change. With stone tools and the meat revolution gaining momentum, not all groups chose the same path. Some, like the Paranthropus, stayed in the trees, clinging to an older lifestyle based on fruit, leaves, and the safety of the branches. It was a reasonable choice. The treetops offered protection from predators and a familiar environment. But safety came with limits. It's much like someone today who clings to a steady job with no growth, afraid of risking something new. Meanwhile, others stepped out of the trees and into the open savanna, facing the blazing sun and prowling predators. In exchange, they gained access to richer and more varied food sources. These were the risk-takers, the ones who understood that true evolution never happens in a comfort zone. This split between staying and venturing created two worldviews, one of stability, the other of bold exploration. This divide shows that human evolution has always been tied to risk-taking. Leaving the trees was more than a shift in territory, it was accepting an uncertain future in exchange for greater possibilities. Homo erectus hadn't appeared yet, but this daring step laid the foundation for a species that would embody mobility and expansion. And when it finally emerged, it would redefine the very meaning of being human. When Homo erectus appeared, human evolution took a spectacular leap forward. This species didn't just walk upright, it turned posture into a strategic advantage. With slim, resilient bodies, they could run long distances without stopping, a technique known as persistence hunting. They didn't rely on brute force to catch prey, they outlasted it. Imagine a marathon runner chasing an animal until it collapsed from exhaustion. That was their specialty. This physical stamina gave Homo erectus a brand new lifestyle, nomadism by choice. They could explore vast territories, cross open plains, adapt to different climates, and discover new food sources. The meat revolution still fueled them, but now combined with a body built to push limits. Think of someone today trading the routine of city life for backpacking across continents. In the savanna, though, this wasn't about adventure, it was survival. With this restless spirit, groups of Homo erectus began spreading far beyond Africa. Their courage to face the unknown, paired with their mastery of stone tools, created a powerful formula that shaped humanity's destiny. They weren't just explorers, they were the living embodiment of resilience and adaptability. That same fire of boldness still drives us today, urging us to keep pushing boundaries and searching for new horizons. Now tell me this, how many times have you overlooked opportunities just because they seem too small or too uncertain? Our ancestors, by turning scraps into survival, showed us that the secret of evolution has always been seeing beyond the obvious. What would you do today if you had the same courage as Homo erectus, to leave your tree and step into uncharted territory? Would you give up a bit of safety to chase something greater? History proves that those who dare to change course open doors to transform the future. So, if this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep walking this path with me. Because the greatest discoveries, just like during the meat revolution, always come to those bold enough to take the next step.